Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. It's really nice to be here in Dammam. Thanks to Robert and the wonderful team who brought me here from London and whose hospitality knows no bounds. So thank you very much for the warm welcome. So I guess I'm in a session of creativity. So I've got to kind of inspire you for the next half an hour about the work I've been doing for the last few years, about transforming healthcare, transform education. And obviously we had a discussion earlier about education and how we disrupt things going forward. And it's my kind of job here to put that together for you so that you can see how we today are changing things for the future. This is an amazing building, isn't it? Wow, ITHRA. I mean, when I came here last night, I saw it this morning. It's a fantastic testament to Saudi Arabia and the Kingdom for leaving a legacy. And when I heard that the main tower was called the Knowledge Tower, it's fantastic. It meant that I could now really tell you about how we share knowledge on a global scale. So welcome from my hospital. This is my hospital. I work at two hospitals, the Royal London and St Bartholomew's. This is St Bartholomew's. As you can see, we're fairly old. We're about to hit 900 years of existence, one of the oldest hospitals, one of the oldest medical schools in the world. So we have a legacy of change, innovation. We've had many famous alumni come through our doors over those 900 years. Some you may have heard about. This is William Harvey. William Harvey, for me, was the kind of father of modern surgery, the father of digital health. He discovered the circulation of blood at Barts, without which, of course, we would have no monitors, sensors, looking at circulation. So his work was seminal in kind of disseminating disruption in the medical space. There's many famous alumni that we have. There's another one, of course. You've all heard of him. James Parkinson described Parkinson's disease at Barts. We have others, orthopedic surgeons like Collies and other kind of people who've really transformed the way we practice medicine. So we've come from a tradition of change and disruption. Let's go back. So some of you may have heard this term, and it's really relevant to our talk over the next 2 or 3 days. Klaus Schwab, who is the World Economic Forum chairman, made a statement about the fourth industrial revolution. He described about 2 years ago the convergence of technology coming together that will kind of blur the lines between the physical, the biological, and the digital spheres. It's all becoming one and seamless. If we think about healthcare, it's a real example of the fourth industrial revolution. Blockchain, artificial intelligence, augmented virtual reality, nanobiotechnology, genomics, wearable sensors, big data analytics. This is the most exciting time to be alive in medicine. Not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago. It's today. We have never had such riches of technology coming together to impact healthcare and education. We should be happy to be alive in this world that we live in, going to be disrupted and changed forever, and for the better. So, here we go. Okay, let's go back one. Okay, I'm going to go back. So go back one. Okay, forward one. Now, I'm going to introduce you to my avatar. In the future, we'll be using avatars, holograms, different ways of experiencing change.
Ladies and gentlemen, the doctor-patient and doctor-student relationship has been based on direct human contact, using the senses of sight, touch and sound to enable the transfer of both knowledge and wisdom. We are now entering the metaphysical world, where there is a convergence of technologies that are going to redefine human interaction. We are all global citizens who can both impact the world individually and collectively by connecting our minds.
So my question to you really is, that's my avatar. Would you be happy if that avatar was teaching you or treating you, replacing the human contact that we so cherish in the world of healthcare and education? First of all, when you think about disruption, innovation, we're going to change our mindsets, all of it. The way that computers are powered, it's rapid expanding, what we call exponential change. So the problem with human beings is that our minds are set in linear fashions. We only think in linear steps. So I'll give you an example. If I take 30 linear steps, which you all understand, how far do you think I'd get? I'd get probably to the end of this hall. If I said to you now, think about exponential change, take 30 exponential steps, how far do you think I'd get? Any ideas? Any ideas? Yes. 26 times around the planet. That's the pace of change. That's what's happening around us. Our minds can't cope with it. So we have to think, how do we invoke that change within us to change healthcare and education? The other thing, of course, we've got to challenge our own minds. If I ask the audience here, how many of you want to be mediocre in your lives? No one puts their hands up. I'm so surprised, okay? Unless you challenge every process every day that can be done differently, you're mediocre by definition. So I'm calling you all mediocre, which is unfair, right? But you've got to think every day your process can be made better. It can change. It can be improved. So you've got to constantly redesign that process to ensure that you're doing the best that you can and you're not mediocre. Let's take this picture. On your left-hand side is the doctor-patient relationship that you're all used to. It's the hand-holding, it's the touching, it's the feeling, it's the kind of empathy. It's what we assume to be when we see a doctor. And I took the Hippocratic Oath, like every other doctor, 25 years ago, saying, this is my pledge to my patients. But you know something? That's historic now. That doctor-patient relationship is changing. It's too expensive. We can't afford, as the world, to have direct contact. I am the most expensive person in my hospital as a consultant surgeon. I'm a cancer specialist. And I break bad news every Tuesday to cancer patients. But actually, that contact has got to change. And actually, if you go back 100 years ago, 1924, the futurists of 1924 have figured it out. They're calling us the radio doctors, or radio waves. We're going to see people in a different way, in the mirror maybe, on a TV screen. What they're describing is telemedicine, way before we were thinking about it 100 years ago. So telemedicine is obviously quite powerful, and it's coming in. The other thing about the audience here, and everyone around the world, we are what's called a one-click generation. We are one click. We don't want 2 clicks, we want 1 click. Okay, 3 clicks, forget it, on a new website, okay? If you think about this, Uber, you have Uber or Kareem here, and you access Kareem. Yes, you get a taxi. It says 20 minutes. You're so upset. You're angry. Why can't it be 2 minutes or 3 minutes? I'm waiting. We have Just Eat, food. We ask for food. It says 1.5 hours. We can't wait. We're hungry. We're starving, right? We want it immediately. What about if you go and order a book on Amazon? We now have Amazon 1 click within 2 hours. We're kind of desperate to read a book in 2 hours. Yet healthcare, we say, let's go and see a doctor. Oh, the appointment's this week. We say, it's fine, no problems. How the hell does that make sense? We're immediate for everything else, but our healthcare, which is important to us, we're happy to wait. We're going to reverse that. Healthcare is more immediate. Food can wait. Uber taxi can wait. We're getting it wrong. So the one-click generation is immediate. So we're going to change that in healthcare. We are now, of course. We access healthcare immediately. Many apps around the world can access doctors immediately on telemedicine platform and the like. But going forward, of course, we won't need doctors. We're now using AI chatbots, AI interfaces, deep machine learning. You'll be accessing information on a computer. It'll ask you questions. You respond, it analyzes, asks more questions. At the end, you get a diagnosis and maybe a prescription and a treatment plan. That's the way you democratize healthcare. I visited 30 countries in the last 3 years looking at healthcare systems, looking at change, how we train people. There's no money in any country. No one's got any money, okay? No one. So you've got to use existing money to change healthcare to make it more efficient, more affordable, more accessible, more equitable. So we're going to redesign that kind of thinking in our minds. Let's go back. How do we redesign healthcare? Well, let's go back to basic tenets of education. The medical student. So the medical students now still are taught on a 5-year program. Is that right? Or maybe 6 sometimes? 5 years. That hasn't changed for 100 years. It's still 5 years. Why can't you train a doctor in 4 years, 4.5 years, 3 years, 3.5 years? Why is it? No one challenges it. We accept this is where we are. The world needs more doctors, more healthcare professionals. So you've got to do something about it. We can't carry endlessly doing the same thing over and over again. Do you honestly need all that knowledge of anatomy, biochemistry, physiology? Of course you don't. We can rearrange and think of redesigning curriculum as we go forward. So this is my, so I'm an associate dean at our medical school, Barts, which is ranked number 2 in the UK at the moment. And we have a great medical school. But I've disrupted it. My medical students have what's called a Barts X medicine program. All third years go through the program. They're not taught by anatomists, physiologists, or biochemists. Do you know who they're taught by? Coders, developers, app designers, venture capitalist funders, crowdsourcers, future technologies, because they have to be the future leaders of tomorrow who understand change, who can innovate, who can be entrepreneurs, who can understand failure and success as they go forward. They're taught by my faculty at Harvard, at Stanford, at Singularity University from California, because I want those people to become the future leaders of healthcare. And in fact, they go away with groups of 4 or 5 with ideas. They get support and mentorship from tech companies to say, how do we figure this out? What's your business case? How do we make your changes work in society? And the winners are given a 3-month placement in a tech company to make it work. They go to hackathons. They go to Dragon's Den pitch. Isn't that the person we want of tomorrow, who challenges what's behind him, who makes change, and who can succeed in this environment? It's coming. This change is coming, so we need to get them ready. But medical school isn't ready for that. It's stuck. You still go through the same rigmarole. We're making one-dimensional human beings, whereas human psyche is multifaceted. We have personalities. Yeah, you go to medical school, you come out in one dimension only. Not good enough. We've got to change it for the better. These are my medical students. They've come out with these kind of ideas going to market. Voice tech-enabled solutions, AI interfaces, thinking about CPD on an app. How do we make something better for us? Great ideas. We're helping them go to market with these ideas. The other passion I have is education. And education, we say, is a fundamental human right. And all of us in this audience accept this premise, that we want education to be free and accessible, right? Everyone says yes. But it's not, is it? It depends on 2 things. Resource, how much money you have, and location, where you have to be brought up. Nothing else. So we've got to overcome the boundaries of resource and the boundaries of location when we're thinking about education on a global scale. This is a picture from Harvard about 100 years ago with people learning in surgery. I'm a surgeon, I teach. This has been the kind of old-fashioned way of teaching people a long time. Hasn't really changed. If I fast forward that picture to this kind of century, can you tell me what is the learning experience of the person hanging from the light? I struggle to see what learning they can possibly get. But you know what? We accept this. This is normal. Great. We're learning something amazing. We're not really. People pay a lot of money to go to medical school, yet we offer this kind of experience for them. Not worth money at all. So we can do better. The other thing we know is the world is connected. You've got to think about it. 7.5 billion people in the world. But now we have cables under the sea from North Atlantic, from America to Portugal, one from North America to Australia, high bandwidth. We've got drones in the air, Facebook, drones flying around Africa, balloons in the cloud from Google, and now satellites from Elon Musk's SpaceX program. We are being connected. So the major companies saying to us, we'll connect you. You figure out solutions, we'll connect you. So it's for us as a society to make that better. My own specialty of surgery has been highlighted as being a global problem. When we looked at the evidence a few years ago, we realized that there's inequalities of surgery. 5 billion people, that's 2/3 of the world's population, can't access safe and affordable surgery. That's a sad indictment for us as human beings, not making healthcare fair. We need to train 2 million more people today, and we need to perform about 140 million operations per year to make healthcare fair, which is what we all agree is what we aspire to, yes? All of us. So how do we make it work? So let's go forward. So AR and VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, is one mechanism that we can use, and it's going to be huge business because it's going to be quite a powerful device going forward. When the virtual reality headset came out a few years ago by a guy called Palmer Luckey on a Kickstarter campaign, he wanted to raise $250,000. He raised $2.5 million. He was 19 years of age. He's reinventing VR. It was already there 20, 30 years ago. Computing power is now such we can use that much better. 2 years later, Palmer Luckey sold his company to Facebook for $2 billion at the age of 21. That's why it's called Palmer Luckey. And I assure you, he's done pretty well in the meantime. Now, of course, headsets are cheaper, more affordable. They're standalone devices, more powerful. They're smartphone-enabled. And, of course, AR. We're going to have these headsets in our face going forward. Your smartphone will disappear in the next 5 or 10 years. It'll be on your head, on a glass. Why are we using our hands and fingers when our hands and fingers are the most special part of what we do? They could do something else. We'll have enabled glasses to make phone calls, etc. So this is going to change healthcare in the future. Your smartphones, Android, Apple, are powered by AR Core and AR Kit, which are all AR devices. So AR is universal. Magic Leap, this great company, have just released their first headset, and this is going to be, it's amazing. They raised over $2 billion from Google Ventures and other people, and this is the type of thing they're creating. A new world in AR and VR. So a few years ago, putting it together, technology, innovation, connectedness, the problems with healthcare around the world. This came out about 2013. I was one of the explorers. Google Glass came out, a little sitting on your head that you could stream. And I thought, why don't I stream an operation live through my eyes to people's smartphones so they could be taught with my eyes, points of view on their smartphone. On their smartphone, they could text a message which would come up on the glass as I was answering it, so I could talk to them in real time and teach. This is what we did back in 2014. On that day, I taught 14,000 people in 118 countries just by connecting their minds on a simple interface using technology. We go forward from that. We then created a whole platform of learning. This is our platform of learning using wearable tech. Great views of surgery, okay? Great interaction, chatbots, talking to one another, peer-to-peer learning came into vogue. I was lucky enough to teach this man how to do a simple operation, simple suturing. Does anyone know who this is? Anyone know? You should all know. This is John Scully. He was ex-CEO of Pepsi Max before Steve Jobs brought him in as CEO of Apple. He was the CEO of Apple. He's the guy who sacked Steve Jobs in the film, right? You've seen it, right? So I taught him how to do a simple operation because he wanted to be connected. He's got a mobile phone company. He thinks a smartphone is the way we empower mankind around the world. But as we go on, these devices will get more and more complex with smart touchscreens, etc., on iPads. I'm working with this company now to do some wearable technology and to be able to stream. And this is what I've been doing with my operations. I stream live to people around the world as I'm operating. This is it. So these are my medical students at Barts. As I'm teaching them, I'm teaching 1,000 people across the globe because they're watching what I'm watching, interacting with me in that real sense. It's all a bit gory. I'm sorry if you feel a bit squeamish about my gory pictures. Virtual reality is coming in. Virtual reality is where you have a headset, you're immersed and you can't see where you're going. My team are up in the Ideal Labs, or my medical realities team, and please go there when you get a chance the next couple of days to experience the HoloLens, VR, AR, simulation. Please go and see them. So now we know that VR is also therapeutic. It's good for phobias and anxiety disorders. It's good for post-traumatic stress disorders, for example. Also good for pain relief. In fact, it reduces the pain requirements after an operation. For people who require dressing changes, like burns victims, require less painkillers. Already now we're seeing lots of clinical data and trials around the uses of virtual reality. It's used for training. Imagine this is the future of training in the future, where you can put a headset on, plan surgery prior to doing the operation. You can practice simulations. My friend Justin Barrad from America has created an orthopedic kind of training simulation program. This is the best thing ever, right? There's no more excuses ever for someone missing a vein, okay, ever. This is it, the best thing ever for medicine, all right? Simple device, allowing you to see veins in real time. How clever is that, using AR? We can plan surgery, we can be more precise by overlaying CT scan MRIs over the patient, so we can be more precise about the incision, about where we inject, where we dissect. This is another interesting idea. This is Insight Heart, beautiful AR device based on the Apple phone. You can now, on your watch, measure your pulse from there and see what's going on inside your own body. It's amazing. All devices around this really complex work around animation. And of course, my friends from Japan are now looking at overlay. This is a real time. This is Maki Sugimoto from Japan, who's putting overlay information onto the body. So as you operate, you can see what you're doing, the liver, where things are, structures. So in time, it'll help us avoid complications. It'll be safer. We can predict what's going to happen. It'll tell you what's going on. Imagine AI algorithms telling you, stop that, don't go there. This is wrong, you've got to go here. This is safe. We need as much information as possible to be more objective about the way we operate in the future. This is the world that you're going to live in. It's going to be education. It's going to be immersive learning. It's going to be things that are transforming the way we manage our own learning experiences. At the moment, we're using books, online platforms. We're using kind of different ways of acquiring knowledge. This is more exciting, isn't it? You must admit, right? This is not like reading a book. This is more exciting, isn't it? Young people, digital natives, they want different things. And by the way, young people are different. They don't want to work 100 hours a week. The new generations there, they want quality of life. They want to travel. They want to be on Instagram. They want to enjoy their lives. They're different to who I was before. So you've got to create a world we live in so they appreciate it and converse in that environment. Any medical students here or doctors in the audience? Good. Isn't that exciting? Surely, better than what we normally do. So this is going to be the future, and all medical schools, including one in Saudi Arabia, will get rid of cadavers. They'll bring in immersive learning, anatomy. It's going to change. It'll be more cheaper, more affordable, and more reproducible going forward. All of you are addicted to social media. Yes, everyone in Saudi Arabia loves Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Yes, Twitter. All of you. I know that, right? You live and breathe on it, right? But social media is really powerful. So why am I talking about social media on a talk around this? Facebook, guess how many users Facebook has every month? 2 billion people. A third of the world's population are on Facebook every month. Instagram, 500 million. 500 million people. Snapchat's about 300 million, as is Twitter. That's a big reach of free platforms. But Snapchat is sophisticated AR platform out there. It's got the biggest reach. It's AR. It's those selfies you take with changes of your face, whatever it is, right? It's AR. You're using it every day without realizing it. So I thought, can I teach people in social media? So here we are. One-click Facebook Live 5 years ago, before people were using Facebook Live. I was doing an operation in Bangladesh. I trained 10,000 people with one click on Facebook Live. You're suddenly connected. People want to teach in different ways. What about Snapchat? This is you can follow me if you like. So I thought you probably think I'm too old for Snapchat, don't you? It's true, isn't it? It's young people's game. 75% of the users of Snapchat are between the ages of 17 and 25. I thought, but that's the age of a medical student, of your trainee. So I did the world's first operation on Snapchat. I did 10-second clips of a surgery, pushed out to my story. So this is the anatomy, anterior spine, symphysis pubis, pubic tubercle, and the inguinal canal. I was a bit concerned about using social media in this way. Okay. But the outcome was beyond imagination. The editor of Time magazine phoned me up, so I'm coming into a story about your Snapchat surgery on a Sunday. Can I share that story around the world? Now, I've been my work has been by every news station, every newspaper around the world. But do you know the most disruptive thing of all that I've been involved with? I've been in Cosmopolitan, front page. Now, all these women out here, you're jealous, I know that, I can take it, that someone like me will be in Cosmo, right? That's disruption at its finest, surely. But they thought it was a good story to cover in a fashion magazine. It was hilarious. More importantly, Ashton Kutcher became my friend. I became the coolest man on the planet for a day, all right? He's put me on Facebook, followed me and said, you're pretty cool. Hey, street cred just went through the roof, right? But actually, if you look at that picture, that operation had 2 million views. It had 5,000 students every year. Every time I operate, there's 5,000 people interacting with me around the world. And it had over 100,000 downloads within 24 hours. Amazing, just by using Snapchat as a medium, because that's the young people of today. They want to do different things. You've got to think about how they're thinking. When I do an operation on Snapchat, I get all these comments around the world, which is really quite reassuring and inspires me to do more with them. And, you know, that operation I did on Snapchat, guess how many tweets or retweets that happened within 1 month of that operation? Have a guess. Yes. 56 million people. Incredible. What reach. Just doing something differently, thinking about how we share knowledge on a global scale. I'll share a story with you. I often ask my audience, who are you and where are you watching it from? A girl called Ella replied, say, hi, my name's Ella. I'm a third-year medical student. You're teaching me, and I'm being taught by you. I live on the Marianas Islands. I'm a third-year medical student. So I thought, where the hell is Marianas Islands, right? So I Google Earthed it. I zoomed and zoomed and zoomed, and I found an island of 12,500 people. I was teaching on that island from UK. Powerful. The fact that you can share knowledge in such a way. What about Twitter? Well, Twitter's interesting. I was the NHS curator. I was the holder of the NHS account for a whole week. They gave it to me. They trusted me. I shared my story about who I was as a doctor. I said, let's go to the public. Let's talk about who we are as surgeons. They deserve us to be transparent and honest about who we are. So, given the fact that I had the Twitter account, I did the world's first operation on Twitter, using 140 characters or less, showcasing who we are as doctors, how we operate, who the people are in the operating theatre, and 1 million people were discussing that story on that day. A live operation being carried the whole day about the outcome implications of such an operation, just using 140 characters or less in those days. If you go to the NHS account, you see the whole moment. Please welcome. It's 4 or 5 minutes long. We haven't got much time. So please have a look at that whole moment that we created for the first time on Twitter. The problem I'm talking about is there's a space, there's a time, you're remote from somebody else. And that's difficult. I spend a lot of my traveling. I go to humanitarian projects around the world. I travel a lot. It's expensive, time inefficient. What if you bring people to you, so they're right next to you in the operating theatre in virtual reality? So I did the world's first VR operation back in 2016. What we did, we persuaded our hospital to buy everybody a Google Cardboard headset, a VR headset. It cost $3, no more. Smartphone, accessible to everybody, and an app that was free. And what we did, we made this whole thing around VR. On that day, I taught 55,000 people in 142 countries, 4,000 cities. And we got a huge amount of kind of interaction.
This 360 camera rig allows immersion. People around the world using low-cost technology, a simple VR headset, can actually immerse themselves in operating theatre around the world.
Suddenly people are in your space, they're right next to you in the operating theatre, being brought from every part of the world to be taught at the same time. VR is moving on. We are now developing haptic feedback, so stimulation will change. In this virtual world, you'll be suddenly feeling things, touching things, performing real operations in the future. That's very much synonymous with VR. This is my team from Medical Realities. We're based in Soho in London, and they're based in the Ideal Lab. And what we've done, we're a bunch of film production teams, CG animators, coders, developers. They've got together as well as doctors, and we've created the world's first VR interactive surgical training platform. And you can download it and play around with it. you'll be able to perform operations in CGI with great animation using real-life technology. What about the whole interface of the human-doctor-patient relationship we talked about before? The AI interface. AI now is powerful. It's been the AlphaGo champion, the world chess champion, and the Jeopardy champion, and now it's become ingrained in our lives in healthcare. People think you have to be in a particular place to have direct contact. This is me doing my ward round, my outpatient, using a beam system. Why do you have to be in the same place? I could be in Dammam, doing a clinic in... Why not? This whole thing we struggle with about having human contact, it makes no sense. My patients, within 2 minutes, think it's normal for me to be on a beam system. It just takes a while to adjust that I'm not there, but actually, they want to see your face, they want to talk to you, and actually, this requires that kind of engagement. We talked about telemedicine being far, VR bringing you into support yourself in real time. Isn't that what we really want to do? We all want to be in Star Trek, don't we? We want to be able to do teleportation to somewhere else. I'm trying really hard to transport myself in real time. Some people go to great lengths to get the perfect selfie. I'm not one of them. I use a lot of cameras to create what's called the virtual surgeon. This is the world's first virtual surgeon, created by a whole lot of cameras. Now imagine if that thing there has AI interface, voice tech. It can talk to anybody. You think it's normal, it's me. It can have knowledge and more knowledge. Would you be happy if that was your doctor or your teacher? It can teach millions of people. I can only teach very few. So that's what's going to happen going forward with the AI-enabled tech. So the HoloLens is a device like this, and what we do with the HoloLens, I said to myself, in the operating theatre, if I need some help, say I'm in the middle of Africa somewhere, or middle of Asia, I need some help, could I call somebody in Bombay, from London, from America, using avatars in real time? Would that be appropriate use of resources? Hi, everybody.
Hi, Shaffi. So the HoloLens itself really allows us to reshape the way we connect people, we communicate with people, and also to be used in teaching and training. Initially, when you put the HoloLens on, it feels a bit strange, but actually within a few minutes, it becomes quite normal. You feel as though you're just discussing cases with people in the same room, for example, like we do in normal hospital practice.
We can come in and actually look at this content in full 3D. And obviously when you're working in this case, the medical field, having a full 3D understanding of a situation, for example.
That's cool, right? In real time, 3 continents, having people in the operating theatre, talking to you, sharing scans. And that's pretty amazing kind of concept. What about this? You've all seen Star Wars, right? Yes? You've also seen Princess Leia calling for Obi-Wan Kenobi for help. What if they call me for help? Okay, this is my Princess Leia moment, so share with me, right? Could I transport myself in real time as a hologram? Oops, let's go back. Sorry, go back one. Back one more. And forward one.
Shaffi, have a look at this.
Yeah, let me have a look over your shoulder. Oh yeah, I see what's going on there. I think I can give some advice, Carl. No problems. Thanks for calling me.
Can you imagine using 5G connections, holograms, real teleportation? Suddenly, you could be anywhere in the world within a few seconds, helping people learn and teach. Last couple of slides, robots are coming in. We're going to be augmented, we're going to be automated going forward, we know that. These are kind of robots coming now that are going to shape surgery in the future, become more affordable, more accessible, and democratizing healthcare, and particularly surgery. And this is a really interesting field to be involved with. Imagine if surgery could be replaced by robots in the future. We'll certainly be augmenting our practices. What about if we replace us? Well, actually, it's not too far off. This is the world's first robotic surgeon. It's joining 2 bits of bow together. Better than a surgeon, better position, less leak. So already things that we think we can't be overcome, suddenly robots are saying, actually, we can support you in your work going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, You feel welcome to see my TED Talks when you get a chance. But my really message is to you. It's about sharing knowledge. All of us in this room have amazing knowledge. Computer scientists, architects, creative thinkers, doctors, physicians. And the question for me and for you is, how do you share that knowledge? Knowledge, not all of us. It's all we have. Why not share that knowledge with one person or two persons, sharing it with tens of thousands of people? That's a legacy that I want behind, because that's a legacy for the world that we live in. To help 1 billion people, sometimes the right thing to do is just connect minds. Thank you very much.
Stay. Thank you very much, Professor. Whew. All right. Any questions? I'm having trouble seeing. Yes, we have one back there. If we can get a microphone to that gentleman there on this side.
Thank you, Professor, for this inspirational talk. We look forward to the future where we can see your technique widespread all over the world. But that is the question. Beside your university, have been there any other universities that adapted your technique so far?
Yeah, so it's happening very rapidly. If you look at America, a lot of medical schools now, a number of abandoning traditional methods. So anatomy in some medical schools has disappeared. Cadavers, they've now gone to HoloLens and immersive learning for anatomy, okay? The new medical schools, the new kind of tech centers of education are saying, let's abandon, let's think about the next 10, 15 years, and putting all that technology in now. So people are moving super fast in this area. And they are, of course, the innovators, early adopters. But it's just a matter of time before it disseminates through the rest of the world. It's just a question of time. It won't be long. It's fast and rapid. Thank you.
We have a question. This lady at this row here.
Excuse me? Doctor, may I ask, how did you start your university, and how did you become an entrepreneur?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So I guess it's over the last, I've always been innovative, thinking about new ideas and challenging myself. It's only the last 5 or 10 years where the opportunities were there for me to embrace through entrepreneurship innovation. It's only recently happening. So for you now, it's a lot easier. You'll have role models. A lot of doctors now think about entrepreneurship, so you'll have role models. It's almost accepted as part of medicine. Before, if you wanted to be an innovator entrepreneur, you had to leave medicine. You couldn't do both together because the career was demanding. Now we're seeing a plethora of kind of opportunities for you guys. We're encouraging you to do other things because the new doctors of tomorrow don't want to be doing one job. They want 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They want to be portfolio doctors. They want to work 2 or 3 days a week. They are saying, we want to change because we have ideas. So now you're much better placed to have an idea and to make it work. And your medical schools and your universities need to embrace the change. They need to change the medical school curriculum. They say, right, we need to, otherwise you'll leave. You'll go somewhere else. A lot of doctors are leaving medicine because they don't feel fulfilled in one career anymore. It's a change.
Unfortunately, as I'm sure we all have 1,000,001 questions, our time is short, unfortunately. Professor, thank you very much. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.